All right, today we're diving into a framework that's really changing how companies connect with us, as customers. It's all about shifting from just guessing what people want to actually knowing. So let's jump right in and break down how it all works.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like a company truly gets you? You know that feeling? When an experience is so spot on, it feels like it was made just for you. It doesn't happen often, right? But when it does, man, it creates this incredible connection. And that feeling, that's what this is all about.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start with the big challenge brands are up against. Then we'll look at the data-driven solution, see how the framework actually plays out in the real world, touch on why empathy is so key, and finally, wrap up with the big why, the ultimate goal of all this.
All right, let's start with the big hurdle every modern company is facing. See, there's this huge gap, right? A gap between what we as customers expect these days and, well, what we often actually get. Bridging that expectation gap, that's the core problem we're here to tackle. So, if that's the challenge, then what's the solution? Well, it really boils down to a massive shift in how we think. We have to stop relying on assumptions because, let's be honest, they're often totally wrong, and start using data to find out what customers really need and want. We're moving from assumption to actual insight. And you can really see the difference here. The traditional way, it was all about making broad guesses, lumping people into big segments, and basically just fixing stuff after it broke. But this new, data-driven approach is completely different. It's about spotting individual patterns and using them to proactively design a better experience from the get-go. It's not just a tweak, it's a whole new philosophy.
So let's get a clear definition on the table. What are we actually talking about with data-driven CX? At its core, it's simply the practice of using data and analytics to make every single part of the customer experience better. And that's the critical piece. We're not just patching up one problem area. We're looking at the whole journey from the very beginning to the very end.
But why bother with all this? What's the payoff? Well, it breaks down into 3 huge wins. First, you get more personalized interactions, stuff that actually feels like it was meant for you. Second, the customer's journey becomes way more efficient. You're not wasting their time. And third, and this is the big one, you build connections that are actually impactful, that go beyond just a sale.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, doesn't it? But how does it actually work? Like, what are the steps? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the framework in action. Basically, it's a 4-step loop that just keeps going. Step 1, you collect insights from your customers. Step 2, you dig into that data to find the patterns, to understand the why behind their behavior. Step 3, you take what you learned and apply it to make your interactions better. And the most important part, Step 4, you keep refining. This isn't a straight line, it's a circle. You're constantly learning and improving.
So you might be wondering, where does all this insight come from? It's really about looking at 3 key things. First, you've got behavioral patterns. That's what customers do, the clicks, the purchases. Second, you have satisfaction scores, which tell you how they feel. And third, you've got customer feedback, which is what they explicitly say in reviews or surveys. When you put all 3 together, bam, you get the full picture.
But, and this is a huge but, it's not just about the numbers. It's so easy to get lost in the spreadsheets. The companies that really nail this go beyond the data. They focus on the human element, on building a culture of empathy.
Yeah, and this quote really just nails it. The key is integrating analytics with empathy. Think about it. The data, the analytics, that tells you what is happening, but it doesn't always tell you why. That's where the empathy comes in. The real magic, the breakthrough moments, happen when you mix that hard data with a real human understanding of what drives your customers.
And look, this can't just be some side project or a fancy new dashboard someone builds. For this to really work, it has to be baked into the company's culture, into its DNA. We're talking about creating a place where everyone is constantly learning, where decisions are backed by insight, not just someone's opinion. It's a culture of continuous learning. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. The data is just a tool. The real goal is to use that tool to make smarter choices. Choices that strengthen the emotional connection a person has with your brand. It's about building relationships.
Which brings us to the big finish. After all this effort, all this data, what's the ultimate goal? Why does any of this really matter?
And the answer is surprisingly simple: measurable value. This isn't about some vague feel-good idea of making things nice. No, this is about creating real, tangible results that you can actually measure for both the customer and the business.
And what's so great is that it's a total win-win.
The value flows both ways. For the customer, it's obvious. They get a better experience, one that's personalized and doesn't waste their time. And for the organization, you get smoother processes, sure, but the real prize is building those stronger, lasting customer relationships.
So I want to leave you with one final question to chew on. Take a look at how your organization uses data. Is it just about making a process more efficient? Or are you using it to build actual human relationships? Because honestly, the answer to that question could change absolutely everything.